Neka detox. Come sip with me. No filters, just honesty.
What's good, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Neka. So today it is time for another Tea Talk, aka Neka's News. So I have two cases, two faces, two different places. Let's get into it. So guys, before I proceed, make sure you go ahead and pay attention to the legal disclaimer, because everything that you see here, I do not own any rights to anything you see here. It has all been taken offline, dealing with the news reports, news channels. I do not know what I'm going to report to you, but everything here has been taken offline from some news channel, news station, or something, okay? Pay attention. So you just saw a picture of two different people I'm going to talk about today. So I have two cases. Case number one. Her name is Miss Shamika McCrary. I'm not sure if I even pronounced that right. But she was a DSS worker. She originally lived in Wayne County, but she worked in Johnson County's social services office. Now, she is 46 years old. Her case actually took place sometime last year, meaning they started filing charges on her last year. Back in December of 2026. She actually was sentenced April 27th of 26. And they found her guilty on December the 12th of 25 for she pleaded guilty in federal court to theft of government property. So anyway, getting on with her, she actually was accused of stealing like over $100,000 worth of food stamps. Now, she used her authority to go into their systems to illegally take people's benefits. And she racked up $100,000 worth of food stamps. And that's crazy. Now, we trust these people with our information, with our social security cards, with our, personal information, your kids' social security numbers, your own personal number, your date of birth, your address, your phone number. I mean, all your personal information they have access to. And for people who get awarded financial assistance with food stamps or any other assistance out here, she went and took it from her pretty much. And some of these people probably don't even know about it. Maybe they didn't even know they got these benefits and she was taking them. But anyway, so let's go through what she was charged with exactly. So federal prosecutors allegedly, they said she unlawfully took these benefits. So the investigations, what led to it is she actually was sentenced to 6 months in federal prison, 3 years of supervised release, and approximately $102,000 that she has to repay back. Now, investigations involve the USDA Office of Inspector General, Johnson County Sheriff's Office, and Johnson County's DSS Program Integrity Unit. Now, they are cracking down. No doubt about it. They are cracking down due to the new laws and new things that Donald Trump has put in place. He is enforcing this, and they are enforcing it because it is now the law. So they are cracking down. They are looking into people committing fraud, workers committing fraud, people who are just not eligible for these benefits. They are cracking down. Now, one thing I will say, it really makes it hard for people who are trying to do things the legal and the right way, and you try to justify or try to figure out why a person used this or why they didn't report that or why they didn't do, just you try to pick and choose why somebody did something. But everybody's living arrangements are not always straight to the T. You know what I mean? People have confusing living situations, difficult situations that they have to work through. And it don't mean that they're trying to be dishonest about anything, but you don't know everybody's ins and outs. But for this particular case, it had nothing to do with her living situation. She was committing fraud, period. She was a worker committing fraud. So, like I said, she's already been sentenced to prison. Now, 6 months of federal prison really don't seem like a lot at all. It really don't. But federal prison is worse than jail, of course. And of course, when she gets out, she has to be on supervised release for 3 years. Now that's a stretch. That's a long time. And then she has to pay back $102,000. So when you think about all of that, that's a pretty steep sentence, boo boo. That's pretty steep. But anyway, everything I report here has come from some form of the news. Now, there was no like actual news reports that you could physically watch. Everything was like a physical, you have to read an article or something. So I'm going to go ahead and show you an article real quickly. So take a look.
And a Department of Social Services caseworker is heading to federal prison for stealing more than $100,000 in SNAP benefits. The U.S. Attorney's Office says Neka McCrary was sentenced to 6 months in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release in order to pay back $102,000. The Goldsboro woman worked for Johnston County DSS and pled guilty in December. The feds say she accessed SNAP accounts of qualified recipients and stole $102,000 for her own use between January 2021 and January 2024. Multiple state charges brought against McCrary were dismissed early this year after her guilty plea in federal court.
Department of Justice efforts to combat fraud support President Trump's task force to eliminate fraud, a whole of government effort chaired by Vice President J.D. Vance to eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse within federal benefits programs. We proudly join the President's task force to eliminate fraud and prosecute in this case. This office will continue to hold accountable anyone who steals any of our taxpayer-funded programs. This SNAP fraudster has learned the lesson. Cheaters never win, said U.S. Attorney Ellis Boyle. All right, so my second case here, her name is Elise Robertson. She's actually 34 from Montgomery County, New York. Now, for her particular situation, she was found or is in the process of they trying to find her guilty. It really didn't say that they had actual proof or evidence. It didn't say where they got the evidence from or who reported it or how it was reported. So you really don't know how they came to the conclusion that she was committing fraud. But it says authorities allegedly that she improperly received approximately $36,667 in SNAP benefits. And they claimed that she failed to report her household members and all members' income. She was arrested May the 5th of 2026, which is like last week. She was arrested for this. She was charged with welfare fraud in the 3rd degree and 9 counts of offering a false instrument for filing. So with all that being said, it sounds like a harsh sentence when you think about 3rd degree, 9 counts of this and 9 counts of that. Like, that seems like a lot for her situation. And it's actually different. But anyway, I'm going to also compare and contrast the two cases here so you could kind of see the views of them. But it's crazy. So now this investigation reported involved the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, the Department of Social Services, and the District Attorney's Office. Now the case involves allegedly, recipient or applicant fraud, not a DSS worker. But this is a recipient, regular person receiving benefits. She was committing fraud by not reporting her household information, accurate household information. And the sources that you're going to see from here is pretty much the same. I'm going to just show you a clip here. It's not even a physical clip. It's just information that you found online that you had to actually read the article. But take a look right quick. This case right here has been reported from CBS 6 Albany News. Montgomery County woman accused of taking over $35,000 in SNAP benefits through fraud. I'm going to just read a little bit. I'm going to sum it up. Miss Elise Robertson is 34 years old and she was arrested on May the 5th of 2026. Robertson received a total of around $37,000 in SNAP benefits she was not entitled to. Robertson was charged with 9 counts of offering a false instrument for filing in the 1st degree, a Class C felony, and 1 count of welfare fraud in the 3rd degree, a Class D felony. She was processed at the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office and held pending arraignment in the City of Amsterdam court. She was later released and issued a return date to court. Now, me personally, I wanted to know, when people come up with this and they say they have proof of it, what proof do they use to determine if a person is, actually committing fraud? Because like I told you before on the first case, just a brief topic, like, people have a lot of difficult living situations. That don't mean that they were intentionally trying to commit fraud, because maybe they have a household member living with them temporarily for a few weeks. Maybe their house burnt down or something happened or somebody got sick and they temporarily live with you. And then you may have a nosy neighbor who reports something and say, yeah, I noticed this person is over there living there and they don't belong over there. Anything that can hurt somebody, people would try to do. You may have a family member who trying to hurt you, don't know your ins or your outs, but they report something because they think they know your living situation. You may have a co-worker who you opened up to, talked to about a situation, and they was mad because you was getting $200 worth of food stamps, and they went and reported something that they didn't know anything about. It's just like, this is how the world we live in, that you really don't know, and people may go against you that you thought you trust, and they go against you and report things that they don't know anything about. They really don't know the truth about, behind anything that you might have told them, or maybe something they seen. But anyway, so it's like, people can post on social media. So when they are looking into this to commit you for fraud, they're mainly checking everything. But a lot of this goes back to documentation, reports. Do they have proof of you letting this person use your address? Or are they reporting tax returns, different things that show that they are legally bound to this address? Even though they may say, I don't live here, but on all their information, they have your address listed. Or even on social media, you state, me and my husband, we live here, we this and we that. And maybe he might not legally be your husband, or he might not legally be with you, but you're reporting it for the social media status. You're saying that you have this even though you don't have this, or you saying that you don't have this even if you do have this. So they use these different things. They also have investigators out here who may actually, like they say, go through timelines. They're investigating through what they see online, what they see in the physical reports. They're actually looking at your social media accounts and just seeing, do this thing line up? So it's just a lot of different things that people are looking at. And it says, having a boyfriend or girlfriend visit often does not automatically mean someone legally lives there. Because somebody stays here all the time, they're always here, does not mean they physically live here. But when you start having things saying, okay, they don't live here, but their address is saying they do. They get all their mail here, they get everything here. So it's kind of hard for them to say they do and they don't. But anyway, so let's go ahead real quickly between both of these cases, case 1, case 2. Case 1 again was Miss Shamika. Case 2 was Elise. We're going to go ahead and do a compare and contrast on both cases. So back to case 1. She was actually a DSS worker who worked in the system. Case 2, she was actually just a recipient, normal person receiving benefits. So now, who was arrested? The first case, the DSS caseworker was arrested. Case 2, Miss Elise, she was a recipient. She's not arrested, but she's involved in, committing fraud as well. The amount involved on case 1 was over $100,000. Case 2 was about $36,000, a little bit over 36, going into $37,000. So Miss Shamika, case 1, this was considered a federal court case. Case 2 considered a state court case. So what took place? Who was alleged? What's the main allegation? So for case 1, it was misusing systems, having system access, misusing the system access, using her power to abuse people's information. And for the main allegation for case 2 was failing to report household income. The status of both cases, so case 1, she's already been sentenced. Case 2 is charges have been publicly reported. That's it. She has not been found or guilty, but, this is public knowledge of, something pending against her. So the public reaction is, people think for case 1, it was an inside job, abuse of trust. She was abusing her trust in this case. Now, case 2, pretty much it was based off of a household fraud dispute or debate. So they're debating if this is going to be a case, is she actually committing fraud? And like I say, it's kind of hard to say what's true, what ain't true. But for both of these cases, they are dealing with the same thing. SNAP benefit fraud. 2 different cases, 2 different faces, 2 different places. So, what do you think, guys? Go ahead and comment down below what you think in regards to this. Do you think the sentence for either situation is too harsh? Even though, like I said, Miss Elise really don't have a sentence yet. She's not really being, sentenced yet, even though they did say they were going to find her or try to charge her with 3rd degree and 9 counts of offering a false instrument for felon. I don't know how heavily that weighs when it comes to your background, your criminal record, what that weighs. I mean, it sounds heavy, 3rd degree and 9 counts. That sounds heavy. When you got about $37,000 worth of food stamps, that sounds pretty steep versus someone who went to federal court and, 6 months in federal prison. I mean, that's, when you think about it, I mean, that's a good amount, 6 months, but it's a half a year, so it's not that bad. But then you got to pay back the money. And who knows if they're going to work out a deal with her, because I'm sure when she gets out, she's going to be broke, can't get no job. So, don't know how that weighs out. But anyway, so pretty much everything discussed in the video here is based on public reported allegations, court records, and news reports. Allegations are not convictions unless proven in court or admitted through a guilty plea. For case 1, she did have a guilty plea. Case 2, these are allegations. This is what they're saying. It has not been deemed accurate, true, or anything. But again, make sure you remember, people who are out here to hurt you will try their best to hurt you. You cannot trust people. You cannot trust your family. You cannot trust your friends, your co-workers. Even people in the system who you might have told something to, they could use anything against you. Because, and even when it comes to, if you are considering letting somebody move into your house and you go to social service and you say, hey, they do not currently live with me, but I want to know if I put them on my case, will their information hurt me from getting benefits? Will it stop me or will it help me? Now, in order for you to find out the information, you have to physically put them on your report and say they live here. They technically don't live here, but in order for me to find out this information, I have to report it down to you. So I feel like that's something they need to work on, because that hurts people, because we don't know until we do it. And once we finally say they live here, even if they don't live here, but I won't know until I report it. Once I report it, and then if you say, okay, they don't live here, let me go back and change it. And then they feel like, oh, well, this is pulling a red flag because you say they live here and then they don't live with you. I mean, you can't win, you can't lose. Which way should I go? Like, what do you want me to do? I'm being honest. I'm trying to be trustworthy and honest about the situation. But then I lose when I report this and I lose when I report that. So which freaking way do you want me to go? So they got to figure this out. But like I said, they are cracking down. They're getting serious. They're getting strict. And you do not want to go to jail over no $36,000 or even $100,000. You don't want to go to jail behind none of that. Okay? You don't want to go to jail over no $200. But anyway, guys, go ahead and comment down below what you think about these 2 cases here. Case 1, case 2, what you think. Let me know in the comments if you think everything here seems to be legit. Or do you think they could, do a little bit more investigation? Or do you think for case 1, her sentence was too high or too little? What you think? But guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Go on over to Neka's Tea Talks and subscribe. Make sure you go on over to Neka Bowers as well, my personal channel, and subscribe. But guys, take it easy, and it's been real. Peace out.